And so the second specific vertebrae you need to know is C2, the second cervical vertebra, which is called the axis. And it's going to have a bump on top of it called the dens or odontoid process. And so here's a picture of the axis. Again, it's a pretty distinct vertebra. And so let's highlight the dens. This is sticking straight out of the screen at you, but it's going to be a big bump. And it's on top. And so looking at how they sit together here, we can see the dens a little bit better. So this big bump that just sticks up, that is a dens or odontoid process on the axis. So these are the two specific vertebrae you need to know: atlas C1, axis C2. Now working on thoracic vertebra, in the thoracic region, this is the only place you can find ribs. And so the ribs, the head of the rib is what articulates with the vertebra in this region. So if you find a costal facet, which is a little smooth spot that the rib is going to sit on, then you know you're looking at a thoracic vertebra. And there are three of them. There's a superior costal facet and an inferior costal facet, which are going to be found on the body of the vertebra, whereas a transverse costal facet is found on the transverse process. So as we take a look, here is that superior costal facet, which is on the body. The inferior is also on the body at the bottom. And then the transverse costal facet, it's over here on the transverse process. So your first question when you have an unknown vertebra is that, does it have a transverse foramen, yes or no? If it's a yes, you know it's a cervical vertebra. If the answer is no, then you've narrowed it down to two other, either thoracic or lumbar. And then your second question you want to ask is, does it have any costal facets? And so you'll look and see, does it have any one of these three costal facets? Yes or no? If it's yes, then you know it's thoracic. No, then you know it has to be a lumbar if it's no to both those. And so looking at the lumbar, they don't have any specific features that tell us automatically it's a lumbar, but there's a few clues. And they'll have a very large vertebral body and a more rounded spinous process. But on the borders of the region, so on that T12, L1 border, they're going to look very identical. But because L1 will not have a costal facet, you know that has to be a lumbar. And so here's a picture of them. You see a little bit bigger of a vertebral body and a little more rounded spinous process. But on the borders of all the regions, they get a little more blurred. Also, we need to know just the sacrum itself, which is going to be about 5 to 7 vertebrae that are fused. And at the end of the sacrum is going to be the coccyx, which is commonly known as the tailbone, which will be about 3 to 5 bones fused together. So as we take a look, just this big part right here, this is going to be the sacrum, so just this portion, and then the coccyx will be the smaller portion at the bottom. And so the sacrum is what's articulating with the ilium to form the posterior wall of the pelvis. And so we can also see the coccyx as it sticks down there. And that'll complete the bones of Chapter 8.